Welcome on board, ladies and gentlemen. Heute habe ich wirklich ein ganz heißes Thema, beziehungsweise eine heiße Interviewpartnerin. Die liebe Stefanie oder Steph ist einer der wenigen Piloten, die sich im Bundesstaat Kalifornien um die Feuerbekämpfung kümmert. Durch ihren deutschen Neffen Tobias kam der Kontakt durch Instagram zustande und ich habe mich sehr gefreut, diese tolle und interessante Gelegenheit zu bekommen. Dies ist ein Teil der Fliegerei, die sehr speziell ist und wirklich sehr weit weg von meinem Airline-Alltag. Wir haben das Interview auf Englisch gemacht, da Stefanie zwar etwas Deutsch kann, aber es nicht ihre Muttersprache ist. Und du merkst auch, Englisch ist nicht meine Muttersprache. Wie immer habe ich das Interview in 2 Teile aufgeteilt. Den zweiten Teil gibt es dann nächste Woche. Ich wünsche dir noch viel Spaß mit der lieben Steph. Enjoy! Welcome on board, ladies and gentlemen. Heute habe ich eine spezielle Folge für euch vorbereitet und zwar habe ich einen super klassen Interviewgast bei mir und zwar die liebe Stefanie. Stefanie ist eine Pilotin aus Amerika. Sie kann zwar ein bisschen Deutsch, aber wir werden das Interview jetzt gleich auf Englisch machen. Ich hoffe, dass du das viel verstehen kannst. Ein paar Wörter werde ich auf Deutsch übersetzen, auch gerade Wörter, die ich selber noch nicht kannte. Und das Besondere, Stefanie ist eine Pilotin für Löschflugzeuge. Und wie sie dazu kam und was das alles auf sich hat und wie ihr Alltag da aussieht, das wird sie uns gleich berichten. Welcome to the show, Stefanie. Hi.
Hi, thank you very much.
Thank you for taking time and for our audience to tell a little bit more about yourself and your job. You have a quite interesting job.
Yeah, there aren't very many people in the world who get to do this, so I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah. What's the job? Can you describe it to us, please?
So we fly on wildfires to put them out. And there are 2 basic missions. One is the one that I do, which is I fly an aircraft with one other person, and we manage the fire and all the aircraft on the fire. So I get to the fire first, and we bring the tankers and the helicopters in, and we tell them where we want the retardant and the water to go. In our aircraft, we have 6 radios. So we're talking on 3 of them to the ground and 3 of them to the aircraft. So it's a constant stream of conversations. And then we are up for about 4 hours at a time on a fire. And then we go back and land. If the fire is still going, we get a replacement to continue with the mission.
Wow. This sounds so crazy. It's really crazy for me. Because when I started my flight training, there were some Canada CL215, I guess, the yellow ones, the yellow-red ones. Yeah. The retardants, you said it is the name in English, right?
Yeah, they actually drop water.
Yeah, just
they're water specific.
Yeah. Also, German, it's Löschflugzeuge. I have to Google it myself. And yeah, but you started not with this job first. You started in an airline, right?
Well, I started as just a private pilot, working on my private pilot as a civilian in California, and got all of my ratings, and then flight instructed, and then flew cargo, single pilot.
Single pilot cargo. Wow.
Yeah, it's King Airs and Beech 99, that size turbine, twin turbine.
Cool.
And then went to the airlines and flew first officer in the Saab 340.
A Saab 340. I know that. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And then you decided, that's not fun enough. It's not cool enough.
I got my private license because I wanted to fly on the fires. Okay. I had worked for one summer as a firefighter and saw them on a fire and went, how do I get from standing here to flying that?
Wow.
And so that got me into flying, but at the time there were no positions. Everything was full. So for years I tried while I was building hours. And then the airlines were hiring, and one needs to make a living.
Yeah, sure.
So I went and flew at the airlines, and then 9/11, and everybody flowed backwards and got furloughed. I was fortunate enough to keep my job, but I was at the very bottom of the seniority list.
Yeah,
and,
I know that feeling.
Exactly. So then I started to seriously pursue the firefighting side, airline, and so I left the airlines and flew federally for a while, and then for 4 or 5 years, and then got this job flying for the state of California.
So you're actually flying for the state of California, and we are coming back to your aircraft right now. What's it called? Can you say it again?
Yeah, it's a Rockwell Commander. Excuse me. It is. It was originally made by North American, so it's a North American OV-10. Then Rockwell purchased the plan, so now they're also known as Rockwell. But it's really a North American aircraft.
They're pretty old, right?
It's a twin boom, twin turbine, with a big high horizontal stab across the top.
Yeah, it just popped up I just Googled it, and it's just seeing a picture right now. Yeah, it's pretty old, right?
Yeah, so they came out in Vietnam. They were the last of the forward air controller aircraft, the FAC aircraft, to come out for Vietnam. So they're very mission specific. You can look out each side. They go from we can loiter almost at 40 knots.
Oh,
and
that's pretty slow.
Can go really slow. The wing is super fat. And we put flaps down for that too, but you wouldn't want to lose an engine when you're loitering that slow.
Yeah, I guess so. 40 knots is very slow.
Yeah, but they'll cruise at about 230.
Okay.
So they have a pretty wide envelope.
So you need a slow speed to watch the fire?
Well, we actually loiter at about 100 knots.
Okay.
So it's not that slow.
Okay. So but you're just you told me earlier it's not you don't have water in your aircraft. You just you're more like air traffic control for the fire, right?
Right. I just say we talk the fire out.
You talk the fire out. That's nice. So you're more like operating orchestra, right?
Exactly. Yeah. When it gets really busy and the people on the ground are on the radio to us and we're talking to helicopters and aircraft, the guy sitting behind me is the one who's really doing all the work. I just fly in circles. But at some point I become his secretary because you just can't answer all those radios. So,
6 radios so much, yeah.
Yeah, so we're definitely a team up there. And I'm listening to what they need from him so I can place the aircraft where he can see what they need. And, if their frequency changes he needs, I take care of that. And so, yeah. Okay.
And let's say there's a fire in California and you got called for a mission. So how does this normally going? How does the mission normally start? With a phone call?
So, yeah, the fire will be called in on 911, which is the national emergency line.
Okay. And
however they get the guy's driving down the freeway and says, I am here and I see a fire there. Or it's fire lookout, which are people sitting in structures up on the mountains with binoculars and a compass, and they can give a distance and a direction from them. So in any case, the dispatcher then figures out a lat long, and we are given that lat long. They figure out which of us is the closest to the fire. So there are 12 bases across the state. So whoever's region it's in, they call it out to us, and we jump in the aircraft and put in the lat long and fly to that position.
So
and we usually have two tankers with us.
GPS coordinates, right? Yeah.
3. Yeah,
because I don't think the normal I don't think they know what latitude and longitude means. So GPS coordinates, you get GPS coordinates.
Yeah, exactly. So GPS coordinates. They can also give us bearing and distance from the airport. But everybody flies with GPS anymore, so they give us latitude, longitude.
And then you go in the air and with 2 tankers, you said?
Yeah, usually we have 2 tankers in tow, so we all get airborne at the same time.
Oh, okay. And then you just, let's say we are with you in the cockpit and you're flying to the fire, right? And then you're trying to get very close to the fire, or how does it normally work? So how is your mission?
So we have a structure that the air attack platform, mine, will be the highest aircraft over the fire, and everybody works underneath me.
Ah, okay.
So I'll be crossing whatever the elevation is. I will be at 2,500 feet above it.
Oh,
the tankers will be 1,000
low.
feet below. Yeah. The tankers are 1,000 feet below me, and the helicopters are 1,000 feet below them. So when the tanker comes in, he still has to descend. He's at 15. He has to descend to about 1,000 for his pattern. and he drops it about 150 feet over the fire.
Wow, this is pretty close.
Yeah.
And they have to fly over the fire, right? So
they're going to fly on the outer edge of the fire.
Outer edge, okay.
If you imagine a fire with no wind and the column of smoke is going straight up, we would just be putting retardant around the fire, so to cool the edge, and then let the firefighters put the fire out. Obviously, if it's windy and there's a column bent over, then that becomes an issue. We can't always get underneath it to fight fire. So we'll try to put the fire out along the flanks and try to pinch the fire off. And of course, the firefighters on the ground are trying to use what we're doing to their benefit and put the fire out.
This sounds very dangerous. Is it very dangerous?
It isn't very dangerous. It can be. I wouldn't use the word dangerous. It takes a lot of focus on everybody's part, and clearly the helicopters and the tankers that are getting low to the ground have the biggest risk. At 2,500 feet above the fire, I've probably got the safest position. Congestion is a problem that probably makes it the most dangerous, because if you don't see each other and somebody comes flying in.
Sure.
So my job is to basically keep track of everybody too. Okay,
so how many aircrafts do you control normally at the mission? Depends on the fire, I guess, right?
Right. So right over the fire, we try to keep it to no more than 3 or 4 tankers.
Okay.
And if there's more of them, they'll hang out a little further out and then come in. It just gets too crowded. And then we could have several helicopters working. And then we separate the aircraft from the helicopters, because obviously we can't have them fly into each other or get close to each other. But
the helicopters and the tankers, they have to go very low. 150 feet is not very much, right? So
right.
And the heat is putting them up, right?
What do you cross the numbers when you're flying in at an airport, right?
Yeah.
You call 100 feet on the approach, right? So
for me as an airline pilot flying a jumbo jet, 100 feet is nothing, right? So
yeah, that's your final call.
Yeah.
Right?
Normally I'm over the runway, right? 50 feet, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty low. How is it possible even to go so close to a fire? Because the fire is putting heat up, and then you have to fight against the increasing air and stuff.
Well, so we're actually outside of the fire line, right? Okay. Because we don't usually, sometimes I will fly over the fire because I'm higher up. But if we're dropping retardant, they will make their pattern outside of the fire and then drop along the edge of the fire.
Okay.
And there are times where it's so turbulent down there that they can't get in. There are times that Mother Nature just doesn't let aircraft do their work.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's quite interesting. So, and how do you get an overview with such smoke and everything? How is it even possible to coordinate so many aircrafts below you?
Yeah, usually, our goal is to put out the fires in less than 10 acres. We obviously don't achieve that, as everybody in the world heard about our huge fires last summer.
Yeah.
But when a fire is running, it's putting its smoke to what we call the head of the fire. The heel of the fire is where the fire started, and the smoke is running towards the head of the fire. And so there's visibility from the heel up the sides, and if we can't get across the head because of the smoke, then we can't. We don't fly IFR because if you can't see, you can't do what you need to do.
Okay.
So, even if I were to go on instruments, well, it doesn't do me any good if I can't see the fire because I'm in the smoke.
Yeah.
So we are absolutely a VFR operation.
And do you have some kind of radar in your machine, in your aircraft?
We do not.
So you're just plotting in your brain where the other aircrafts are?
Well, we do have TCAS. Sorry.
So you have TCAS.
So we don't have ground radar, but we do have TCAS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And now with ADSB, obviously, we'll have that too.
Yeah. Okay. But it's not so accurate, right? It's not so precise. Like, you have to look out and then you have to...
Oh, absolutely. You have to look out. But it's pretty good. I mean, it'll chime and tell you, but, closure rates, and because we're at 1,000 feet apart, it can get pretty excited.
Traffic all the way, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then terrain.
Sure. Terrain as well, yeah, right. Your GPWS. Well, that must be very noisy in the cockpit.
Our GPWS is for flight, so it's not that accurate either.
Okay. Wow, that's pretty amazing. And so, are you on standby all the time, or how does it work? How's your normal roster? You don't have a roster, right?
So, like I said, we have 12 bases, and every base has an air attack and a tanker or two. Our day starts normally at 10:30, and we fly until dark.
Okay, because of VFR, right? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and so we actually, if there's no fire that day, our cutoff is a half hour before sunset. Mm-hmm. But we are literally sitting as if you were on 10-minute standby in the crew room.
Okay.
We need to be airborne within 10 minutes of the call.
Yeah, I see.
So we work 6 days a week, 1 day off for 5 months.
Wow, yeah. This is crazy.
But then I'm unemployed for the rest of the year.
You are unemployed the rest of the year?
Mm-hmm.
That's not...
They just say, we're done with you. You can go home now.
Wow.
At which point, after being there for 6 days on, 1 day off for 5 months, I'm very happy to leave.
Okay, I guess so. Right? Wow, that's crazy. So I think we have to explain what's IFR and VFR for the listeners.
Okay.
I make it in German quick. Mhm. IFR bedeutet, IFR auf Deutsch bedeutet Flug nach Instrumentenflugregeln, das heißt Blindflug auf Deutsch. Und VFR bedeutet, dass man einfach nach visuellen Flugregeln fliegt, also nach Sicht quasi. Also das eine bedeutet Sichtflug und das andere bedeutet Instrumenten- oder Blindflug. Genau. IFR und VFR. Yeah, just to clarify for the listeners. Yeah. Mhm. So, what are you doing the rest of the year?
I actually have my own airplane. I do some flight instruction.
Oh, okay.
And just have time off and visit family in Germany.
Okay. Your sister lives in Germany, right? So, and your nephew, right?
Yeah, my sister and brother. Yeah, they're both here actually.
Okay, I see. Wow, this is crazy. So how long is your endurance with your aircraft? You cannot be. Is it 12 hours? No, I can't believe it. Right?
No. So we're about a 4-hour airplane. We can do, if the fire is very close to us, we don't have a long en route part, we can stay up 5, but we're limited to 7 hours of flight time a day instead of the normal 8. And so we usually stay up about 3.5 hours at a time.
3.5.
And if you've been working a fire, your brain is just a noodle at that point anyway. You need to land and have water and regroup and fuel.
It must still get very hot in the cockpit, right? Above the fire.
Yeah, it's as you saw in the picture, it's basically a little glass bubble we sit in. But they've put really nice air conditioning in over the last few years. Okay. We couldn't do it. It gets to 115 degrees where I work.
Fahrenheit, right?
Yeah. And so if you're up in the airplane for hours, you literally you become ineffective.
Yeah. So. Wow, it's pretty hot. 250 degrees for the German people is 120 grad Celsius. That's pretty hot. This is
No, that's no. So I'm saying we're about 45 degrees C. Something like that.
45? Okay.
Yeah, which is still hot.
Yeah, this is hot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 120 degree Fahrenheit, you said, right?
Yeah. No, about 115.
15, okay. So I got the wrong number. Yeah. It's for 45, 46 degrees Celsius.
Something like that.
Yeah. It's still pretty hot. Well, do you wear oxygen masks during the missions?
No, because we're 2,500 feet above. Most of the time, we're not even close to 10,000 feet.
Not due to the altitude, due to the smoke.
No, because we try to stay out of the smoke.
Oh, okay.
So we do get ash on us, but that stays outside the airplane. We don't have oxygen, and we just wear a normal headset, and we do wear flight suits. So.
Okay.
Das war der erste Teil von unserem Interview mit der lieben Steph.
Es ist schon ganz schön spannend, was die da so zu tun hat und wie man eine Feuerbekämpfung durchführt in der Luft. Den zweiten Teil gibt es dann nächste Woche, wie versprochen. Ich wünsche dir always happy landings, bleib gesund und wir hören uns dann nächste Woche. Dein Cockpitbuddy, Suk-Jae.
Cockpitbuddy.